Go lift your dog's lip right now. Go on, I'll wait. Look at the back teeth, the big ones along the side. If your dog's more than a few years old, I'd bet you a dozen eggs there's a brown or yellow crust sitting on them, right up along the gum line. Maybe the breath tipped you off first. Maybe the vet already tipped you off at the last checkup when they said the words dental cleaning and slid a piece of paper across the counter with a number on it somewhere between $400 and $1,000. And that cleaning means putting your dog under anesthesia, which means blood work first and a day of worry. And if your dog's getting up in years, a real risk you don't love taking for what is, at the end of the day, a teeth cleaning. So you went home and you bought a dog toothbrush and a little tube of chicken-flavored toothpaste, and you tried. And your dog clamped his mouth shut and looked at you like you'd lost your mind, and after 4 nights of wrestling, the toothbrush went in the drawer. That's where most of them end up. I'm not judging you. I've owned dogs my whole life, and I have never once met a dog that sat still for a proper brushing. Here's what I want you to know today. There's a plain kitchen shelf fix for this. It costs about $2 a month. It takes 10 seconds a day, and the 10 seconds is you sprinkling something on the food bowl. Your dog does the rest. It's not instant, and it's not magic, and I'll tell you exactly what it won't do too, because half of getting this right is knowing its limits. But it works. It's been proven to work. And the reason you've never heard of it as a $2 fix is that the same stuff is sitting in the pet store right now in a fancy little tub for $30. The fix is kelp, seaweed. One particular kind, and the kind matters. So stay with me on that, a brown seaweed that grows in the cold North Atlantic. The name on the bag will say Ascophyllum nodosum. Write that down, or just remember the North Atlantic brown kelp, because that's the one that's actually been tested, and plain old kelp blends off the fish food shelf are not the same thing. Here's how it works, in plain words. The crust on your dog's teeth, the tartar, didn't show up overnight. It starts as a soft film. Germs in the mouth build themselves a little slimy blanket on the tooth, the same fuzz you feel on your own teeth in the morning. Left alone, minerals in the spit soak into that blanket and it hardens. Soft fuzz becomes crust. Crust becomes something like concrete. And once it's concrete, a toothbrush can't touch it. That's why the vet has to scrape it off with steel tools. And that's why the dog has to be asleep for it. Now here's the clever part about the kelp. And it's the part that made me sit up when I first learned it years ago. You don't put it on the teeth. You put it in the food. The dog eats it, it goes through the dog, and something in that seaweed comes back out through the saliva. The spit itself changes. And spit is washing over every tooth in that mouth all day long, front and back, inside and out, every spot you could never reach with a brush, even if your dog allowed it. What the changed spit does is mess with that slimy blanket. The germs can't build it right anymore. New fuzz doesn't stick and harden the way it wants to. And the crust that's already there, this is the part people don't believe until they see it, it slowly loses its grip. It softens at the edges. And then one day your dog is chewing on a bone or a hard biscuit, and a flake of that brown crust just pops off. You might find little brown chips on the floor by the water bowl and wonder what they are. That's tartar. Coming off on its own, while your dog does the thing dogs do anyway, which is chew. This isn't an old wives' tale, and I want to be plain about that, because I don't sell you things on my say-so alone. This seaweed has been put through real trials. Dogs fed it every day, measured against dogs that weren't. And after 3 months, the kelp dogs had roughly a third to nearly half less plaque and tartar on their teeth. A third to a half, from a sprinkle of dried seaweed on the supper bowl. It's the same stuff inside the best-known dental powder at the pet store. The one in the little tub with the Swedish name and the $30 price tag. Turn that tub around and read the ingredient. It's one ingredient. It's this kelp. So here's exactly how you do it. By plain, pure Ascophyllum nodosum powder. Not kelp blend, not ocean greens, not a supplement with 12 things in it. One ingredient, that name on the bag. You can find it online or at a good feed store, and a bag that lasts a small dog most of a year runs you not much more than what 1 month of the branded tub costs. Per month, you're at about $2, sometimes less. The dose is small, and small matters here. For a little dog, under 20 pounds or so, about a 1/4 teaspoon a day. Medium and big dogs, about half a teaspoon. Sprinkle it right on the food. It smells faintly like the sea and tastes like nearly nothing. I've had picky eaters in this house, real princes about their bowls, and not one of them ever noticed it. If yours does, stir it into a spoonful of something wet and it disappears. Then you wait. And this is where I have to be honest with you, because this is where people quit. Nothing happens in the first week. Probably nothing you can see in the second. The spit has to change first. Then the new fuzz has to stop building. Then the old crust has to soften. Give it 4 to 8 weeks before you go lifting that lip and expecting a difference. Usually the first thing you'll notice around week 2 or 3 is the breath. The breath improves before the teeth do, because the breath was those germs all along, and the germs are the first thing to lose ground. Then somewhere in the second month you start seeing the crust thin out and flake, especially if your dog gets something hard to chew on. By 3 months, on most dogs, the difference is plain as day. Now the limits, because I won't oversell a thing to you ever. This is for prevention and for crust that hasn't gone too far. If your dog's gums are angry, red, and bleeding, if teeth are wiggling, if there's a smell coming off that mouth like something died, that dog is past kelp. That dog has infection under the gum line and needs the vet now. Because mouth infection doesn't stay in the mouth. It gets into the blood and goes after the heart and the kidneys. I'm not in the business of telling you to skip a vet your dog genuinely needs. What I'm telling you is this: pay for that cleaning once if it's truly needed, and then start the kelp the very next day so you never pay for it again. That's the deal. One cleaning, or none if you catch it early, not one every couple of years for the rest of the dog's life, which is what most people end up signed up for. One more caution, and it's a real one. Kelp is naturally rich in iodine. That's part of why it works, and iodine feeds the thyroid. For a healthy dog at these small doses, that's fine. The trials ran for months with no trouble. But if your dog has a known thyroid problem or is on thyroid medicine, ask your vet before you start. And whatever dog you've got, don't take the attitude that if a 1/4 teaspoon is good, a tablespoon is better. It isn't. More does not work faster. Measure it small and be patient. This is a slow fix, and slow is exactly why it works. By the way, this is one of a few hundred things like it I've collected over the years. Every method I actually used to run this house and everything in it for less, I finally wrote down in one book. It's on my website. The link's right below the video. Go grab it if you want it. I won't bring it up again. Now, the kelp is the engine here, but there are 4 little helpers that speed the whole thing up, and every one of them is already in your kitchen. None of these replaces the kelp. Together with it, they're the difference between a decent result and a mouth your vet does a double takeover. First one, a raw carrot. Not a baby carrot for a big dog, a whole raw carrot, cold from the fridge, sized so the dog has to actually work at it. Give one a few times a week like a treat. Here's why it matters. Remember, the kelp's job is to soften that crust and loosen its grip. Something still has to knock it off. Chewing is what knocks it off. And a raw carrot is about the best cheap chewing there is, firm enough to scrape along the tooth as they gnaw, crunchy enough that they love it, and it costs you what, a dime? They sell dental chews for this, $1 or $2 a piece, most of them soft enough that they're basically cookies with a green tint. Don't bother. A carrot does the scraping honestly, and the dog thinks it's getting spoiled. The two things work as a team. Kelp loosens, carrot sweeps. Cold from the fridge is best. Most dogs go wild for the crunch. Second, coconut oil. Germs in a dog's mouth do not care for coconut oil. There's something in it that knocks the wind out of them. And dogs, on the other hand, love the taste like it's candy, which makes it the one thing you can actually get onto a dog's teeth without a fight. About half a teaspoon for a small dog, a teaspoon for a big one. And here's the trick. Don't just feed it. Smear a little right along the gum line with your finger. The dog will lick and tongue it all over the mouth, doing the work for you, and it sits on those gums going after the germs. A couple of times a week is plenty. The same jar does your cooking and your dry hands in January. So it's not even a new purchase. Third, and this is the closest thing to brushing that a real dog will actually tolerate, the gauze wipe. Take a square of plain gauze from the medicine cabinet, or honestly a bit of old clean t-shirt works. Wrap it around your pointer finger, dampen it, and just wipe along the outside of the teeth. Once down each side. That's it. 10 seconds. You're not scrubbing, you're wiping, but that soft daily film I told you about, the fuzz that hasn't hardened yet, a wipe takes it right off. Fuzz that gets wiped off never gets the chance to turn to concrete. Dogs that would bite a toothbrush in half will stand for a finger, especially, and here's where the coconut oil earns its keep twice if you put a dab of it on the gauze first. Now the wipe tastes like a treat. Do it while the dog's sleepy in the evening, lip up, wipe, done, good dog. 10 seconds a day beats $400 every couple of years. I'll say that again, so it sits. 10 seconds beats $400. Fourth one, and I've saved it here because almost nobody does it, and it might be the most important helper of the bunch. Wash the water bowl every day with soap. Run your finger around the inside of your dog's water bowl right now. Feel that slick, slimy coating? That's not water residue. That is a living film of germs, the same family of germs building the crust on the teeth. Every single drink, your dog takes a mouthful of them. You could be doing everything else right, kelp and carrots and wipes, and meanwhile the water bowl is reseeding that mouth 10 times a day. It's like mopping the floor while somebody follows behind you in muddy boots. Hot water and dish soap once a day, same as you'd wash your own drinking glass, because that's what it is. It's your dog's drinking glass, and most of us have been topping it up for weeks without washing it. I know I did for years before somebody pointed it out to me, and I'm not too proud to say so. Costs nothing. Takes 30 seconds. Ceramic or steel bowls, by the way, hold that slime less than the scratched up plastic ones. If you've got an old plastic bowl that's all scored up inside, retire it. So that's the whole system. Kelp on the food every day, that's the engine. Carrot a few times a week to sweep off what the kelp loosens. Coconut oil on the gums a couple times a week to keep the germs beat back. The 10-second gauze wipe at night, and a clean water bowl every single day. Total cost, maybe $3 a month all in, and not 1 minute of wrestling with a toothbrush. Now let me say the quiet part, because you deserve to hear it plainly. Dental work is one of the steadiest moneymakers in a vet clinic. I'm not calling vets crooks. Most of them are good people who love animals, and when they tell you a mouth is infected, believe them. But a clinic sees that cleaning as a service to sell, not a problem to prevent, and nobody's clinic stays open by handing out $2 prevention. Meanwhile, the pet supply companies figured out years ago that this seaweed works, and their answer was to put a quarter teaspoon's worth of it in a pretty tub, print a brand name on it, and charge you $30 for what cost them pennies. Same seaweed. Same ocean. The only difference between their tub and the plain bag is the label and about 90% of the price. Between the cleanings on one end and the branded tubs on the other, your dog's dirty teeth are worth a great deal of money to a great many people, every one of whom is counting on you, not knowing that the fix has been growing in the North Atlantic all along. Here's your first step, and it's tonight. Wash that water bowl. Hot water, dish soap, feel for the slime, scrub till it squeaks. That one's free and it starts working immediately. Then order your bag of Ascophyllum nodosum, remember, that name, one ingredient, and start the sprinkle the day it arrives. Mark the calendar and go lift that lip again in 8 weeks. And tell me in the comments how old is your dog and what did your vet quote you for a cleaning. I'm curious what those numbers look like around the country, because I suspect some of you have been quoted things that'll curl my hair. If you've got your own old trick for dog teeth, put that down there too. I read them all, and I learn as much from you folks as you do from me. Next time, I'm doing the same kind of math on dog food itself, what's actually in the expensive bags, what's in the cheap ones, and the handful of things from your own kitchen that do more for a dog than either. If today saved you a few $100s, that one might save you more. I'll see you there.